And America also is European. America is Western philosophy. And I actually want to answer this. You guys are pagans, right?
Yeah. I guess you could use that word for me. This is good
No, it's
conversation. I
fine.
love to get into with you. I have a Christian
Yeah,
background, and
yeah.
then I just explored a lot of my pre-Christian heritage and learned that, oh wow, there's a lot of synchronicities there that make sense and have bled into Christianity. That's one of the mottos we have here, though, is folk first. And I noticed that on the right, this is a huge topic, right? Like you can't be America first unless you're a Christian. I don't agree with that. I think we need to put our people first. I think that there's a reason why our founding fathers also separated church and states. I mean, looking at Europe and how all the different Christian branches fought each other and persecuted each other and fighting and killing and warring. I just don't think that's the path. I'm respectful of what others believe in, but I think that we have to put race before religion.
Yeah. So I actually have a really maybe interesting answer. I've really thought long and hard about this question, because Officer Talmud, also known as Talmud Tatum, he wrote on a post that I had about how if America ceases to be white, it won't be America. And he said I was crazy, that America is about being Christian. Now, this is a common question. I hope this really answers this for a lot of people, and you guys might disagree. I'd love to go down this path here. But there's a big debate on the right? Is America America because of white people, or is it America because it was been Christian? And I would say it's actually both, pretty succinctly. But you could have still built America without Christianity to an extent, not founded it, but you also didn't. Not everyone was Christian that founded it or moved on it, but you did need to understand the ideas of Christianity to have a. It was important in forming our society, right? That's like our value set was built out of Christian values, but it was built upon philosophy. And so let me explain that. So, people will bring up it's Christian. So those people, you saw Charlie Kirk argue against one of our contributors here. His name's Ozpill online. We're actually starting a Rift Australia, if people don't know that, which is really cool. Rift AUS instead of Rift TV. It's going to be called Rift Oz. And I think we're going to maybe do a Rift UK. So we kind of got some big things in the works here. But I can answer this really cool. So if you look at the Congo's 98% Christian, but it's one of the most dangerous places in the world, right? It's got a lot of problems, and no Christians want to live there. And if God called you to minister to the Congo, we would have your goodbye parties today, because you're probably going to be raped and murdered, especially a beautiful blonde woman like yourself. Respect your husband when I say that. I just mean, just like objective, Aryan traits, you're going to be murdered. But so why is that not that America? Well, Jesus Christ, unlike the Africans have a philosophy of looking to the past. It's their ancestors, and they look backwards. And they also have an idea of, they have a dishonest culture about lying, which is why even African prominent people always get medical work done in Europe and the United States, because they're based upon, look, whatever you can to get ahead, you have to do, and that you are honored. Even if you have to trick people to get ahead, it's sort of, Indians have a similar culture. If you're dishonest and you lie and you cheat and you steal to get ahead, you having all the stuff is, you get the respect, and it doesn't matter how you got there, right? So it's like, that's how the black culture is. You can shoot me to get my shoes, but in America it's the same way, but you got the J's on, right? And so that's really antithetical to Westernism. So even though they have Christianity in the Congo, they don't have a standard for approaching life that can help them to build a society. And by the way, I'm going to be very kind here and not talk about IQ. I'm going to be very kind here and not talk about, a lot of things that are probably your audience is already familiar with. But like fundamentally, just being a Christian doesn't make you a great contributor of society, okay? And that's very true. And being a bad member of society and claiming Christ is kind of an embarrassment on Christianity as a whole. But a lot of people have received Christianity. But what you've seen is like, so then let's talk about the other aspect of nations that have been traditionally pagan, like Sweden, right? Or I guess they've been Christian recently, but at some point, Norway, just the Scandinavian regions. So well, at least let's just say pagan history, right? Maybe
Yeah,
they were Christians until
Greco-Roman
recently and back to pagan.
civilization, yeah, or Scandinavian history, or to me,
Yeah,
that really is
just
the foundation. We can't deny that we have a pre-Christian heritage, and we should honor that
yes.
and respect that it's part of our civilization and our culture. These are our peeps, it's our ancestors. We can't,
I might be one of the only Christians who says I deeply respect paganism.
No,
And
I have a lot of Christian friends that do, and they understand like how winter solstice has become part of Christmas and Easter and like the change, the seasons and how that's become holidays and all that. So I think that there can be unity if people put their race first. But what we see is that a lot of Christians, they don't do that. So you're up against that battle of that, not only the Christian Zionist right, but the ones who won't just put their people first because they think it's racist and that's not part of their religion. It's a universalist religion, right?
No, but it's not supposed to be, and this is why like I am like more aligned with Orthodox, which understands racial components, and they're fully understanding, and that's why even our churches are broken down by race. It's like Antiochian, Greek, Egyptian, Russian. Like it's actually broken down by racial identity. Actually, that's kind of insane. But they realize that race conflicts, and the reason why is my argument is this: you can build a society on paganism alone. You cannot build a society on Christianity alone, but you can build a Christian society on top of a pagan society. And the reason why that's possible is because, like, I saw a Haitian woman that was on video with a trashy house like that, with a cross on the wall telling the police this is not how we did things in Haiti. So what's cool is that if you talk about Marcus Aurelius, who was kind of a depressed man in my opinion, he said that the value of virtue is virtue in and of itself, right? He was not a Christian, and he talks about this idea of living for good because the value of good is the value. If you're given to vice and you live a licentious life, you will have pain and suffering. You will get disease. You know what I mean? Like it's like if you eat a lot, you get fat. That's the punishment. You have too much unprotected sex, you get an STD. If you do too much porn, you might turn trans or gay. That's actually true. People don't know that. That's what's turning everyone gay and trans is pornography. If you do drink too much alcohol, you die of cirrhosis. Like the punishment doesn't need morality. The punishment is built into the laws of the system. And I understand that. Now, that's why Western society is built on paganism. It's not built on Judeo-Christian ideas. And Joel Berry and stuff gets really like, yeah, see, I told you everyone's going to become pagan. It's like, no, what you're seeing is that people realize that people like you who just told us Christianity is the only thing, there's an entire history of ours that have been erased and robbed from us that was built upon fundamental philosophical ideas that required you, whether you were Christian or not, which wasn't even really a big faith at the time, whether like it hadn't existed, right? This is pre-Christ. Like you needed to be a good person for a good person's sake, and a good society should be a good society for the benefit and the joy. Beauty is beautiful for the sake of beauty. Like it is it's a masterful concept, guys. The pagan history is enormously important to us and very beautiful. And that's why I'm unlike Joel Berry, I'm friends with pagans, and I find their respect for beauty. I can get along better with a white pagan than with a black Christian. Because why? Because our daily life is built on philosophy and principle, not built upon what you read in your Bible in the morning. However, I believe that Christ is needed for a lot of men's lives, because I think I think pagan cultures go towards decay. And I think that my opinion is that the mix of Christianity and their pagan roots is what not only founded Christianity, right? Because the pilgrims came for freedom. There was this idea of religious autonomy that is built into America. We are built upon this
religious freedom,
individual liberty.
All the Christians were killing each other. Yes.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Like they realized that there was problems with Christianity in Europe, and they wanted to form a more perfect union per se, but also early Christians didn't deny the principles of paganism and of early culture. It's called the Protestant work ethic. Like they didn't just go like, oh, I'm a Christian and support Israel. They're like, no, I am an Englishman. They all saw race as a very important factor. They wanted it to be Anglo-Celtic. Like they saw America as an Anglo-Celtic nation. It was hard to even integrate the Germanic people, right? They didn't like the Irish coming in. Like people don't realize they saw, yes, religious freedom, but built upon Anglo-Celtic values of hard at work ethic, organization. Look at the original cities they built. They're all orderly and gridlocked. And
we had value. Here's the thing. What I don't like is when people say it wasn't until 2,000 years ago with, ideas of Christ, that then we became moral people and found our values. I think that's a slap in the face to our ancestors, and it just historically is not true. We had a code of ethics and morals and a way of being. We figured out a lot of what makes us happy and prosperous in life and what makes us fulfilled before, the 10 Commandments comes, right? And then there's the whole Jewish conundrum that, people fight. Is Jesus a Jew? Is he not? He's actually Aryan. He's white. He's these things. I like synagogue of Satan. I've heard all of these things. I'm not a stranger to any of it, but it just doesn't speak to me. And I think a lot of what's in the Bible is, yeah, sure. You can't have a religion without there being good, important truths in there, of course. But I think that there's a lot of mythologies. I did a post on this, yesterday, and people freaked out. I don't think that Jesus was born of a virgin or walked on water, all the other stories in the Bible. I think people take it way too literally. I don't think Thor is actually behind, creating the lightning. I think some of these things we mythologize, like in the work of, Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung. It's important to mythologize things as where humans are trying to understand culture and behavior and dynamics and figure out our place in the world and our relationship to something higher. And so I'm not crapping all over that. I just think that we have to kind of step back and look at these things from a time when they were written, like what was going on in their minds, what were things that they were trying to think of at that time.
The answer what the pagan Christian thing is that I believe that Christianity really allowed the expansionism of America, of the West, because we were able to bring civilization. We had a motive to try to. I think actually colonialism was kind of a mistake. We shouldn't have civilized the world. I think we fucked up.
We let everyone know where we are in relation to them so that they can come and flood our countries.
Like we gave them airplanes. Yeah. We gave them airplanes.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Indians airplanes. Why did we give the third world airplanes? Like now people from like Uganda can just get here, right?
And they do, yes.
Like that's, yeah, so it's like, so we kind
all right,
of
Elijah, how do we solve this Christian, pagan, it seems like it's coming to a head. I've always been very tolerant and can talk to a lot of different people. I like to put our folk first, but there's people that tell me I'm going to hell if I don't follow Jesus, and that's it, I'm out, I'm not listening to you anymore, And this is, I think, very childish. And I think if we can't have, even Christians are fighting with each other over, calling Fuentes a pagan because of his Catholicism and these different Christian branches, and they're fighting. And then, certain pagans, you're not doing it exactly the right way. And it's like, for fuck's sake, people, if we can't even get this together, how are we going to take our countries back and unify as a race? Why can't we just be as simple as some of these Browns that are just like mo race? Why are we so complicated and so complex and so nuanced? So we have to fight. Like, is now the time for that? Really?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I think I'm going to look at it like this. This is my answer. Christians need to begin to respect the fact that we were built upon pagan ideas and philosophical ideas that we're devoid of Christ. And yet a lot of our history was integrated with Christ, and pagans need to realize that we both have interlocked history that one cannot deny exists. Okay. One cannot deny that there is a very serious Christian portion of our history and a very serious pagan portion of our history. And they are both integral to where we are today. Whether you like where we are today, obviously I'm talking about more leading up to World War II. Post World War II is a different situation. Now, once we accept that we were both integral in building the civilization to where it's at, I think we need to know this. Race is the most important concept because philosophy is the most likely determining factor of what your daily life will look like and what your interactions will be like. And that you could have a non-Christian all-white state like Mississippi, but there's so many blacks there that it just can never get ahead. And you can find a very liberal, godless state like New Hampshire. And while, of course, they do weird stuff with sexual things with kids, it's a much better state to live in terms of just like transportation and job opportunities and income and education. Now, so it's kind of like, how do we mix Mississippi and New Hampshire together, right? Like that's kind of what we're asking. How do you take like a free state where there's a lot of pros to being in Mississippi? There's also a lot of cons. Same thing with New Hampshire. They just kind of have different strengths. I think Christians need to realize that we are our worst enemy right now. That the biggest supporter of the downfall of America are evangelical Christians that are supporting the Zionization of our nation, and we need to admit that that's the problem. I also think that pagans need to admit too that a lot of times people have associated paganism with atheism or paganism as a form of nihilism and godlessness, and that because of our Christian roots, people don't realize that, I think pagans should rebrand as philosophical dogmas or philosophical authoritarians or autocrats. Like, we're coming at things from a Hellenistic Roman, we're still asking you to be virtuous, right? Like, it's like, hey, we hold the same principles, and but here's the thing.
We do. I mean, the pagans, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
that the pagans that I know are the most stand-up people with families. They love their folk. They have, good businesses. Their life is in order. The difference with them is that they don't need like a rule book that's between, this chapter and this chapter. That is where God is. That's where it ends. To me, I have a problem with dogmatic, indoctrinated Christians that think that like God is only between these covers, and anything outside of that is satanic and idolatry and you're going to hell. No, I completely reject that kind of mentality. My parents are Christians, and they don't even think like that. But this whole idea that pagans don't have morals, or they're just, doing drugs and having orgies all the time. They're getting a lot of these ideas from, Hollywood movies, or they see a couple
Jewish movies.
Jewish movies, or they see some LARPing, furry who also is like at I don't know, some like fair that's like some pagan festival or something, or Renaissance fair or whatever. But look at what's happening also in the Christian church.
Renaissance fairs are like real pagans. Like, it's like there's a pagan LARP that's like, oh, I'm a witch and a wizard. And it's like, that's like I was just going to say, I think that we need to realize that people think paganism means atheism or nihilism. And so they see it as a rejection, not of God, but of morality. And I think that even Joel Berry is constantly kind of pointing it as that. Yeah, but I think
it's all about the gods and even Valhalla and the different realms and the Ubermensch and the hero's journey and becoming the best.
For you.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
Valhalla. Well, I'll just end this because I know you guys got to go, and I got to go do my show real fast. Sorry for making you wait, but I just want to say that Christians need to realize that, and also there's a cop out where it's like, well, I'm just saved, I'm a born again virgin. Like, hey,
then
look,
I don't have
Christ
to do the work.
Redeem.
Yeah,
correct. Christ does redeem, but Christians need to. I'm going to call out my own people, saying, like me, I'm just coming to really follow my faith. Christianity needs to be also a real change where you have your faith in Christ, but Christ needs to lead you to repentance, needs to lead you towards change, towards actually living a lifestyle of rigorous discipline, and to actually live a life of seeking beauty and greatness and establishing a family. It needs to relate. You can't just be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, I'll just go to, confession, on Saturday, and then I'll go sleep with a prostitute on Tuesday. You got to be like, he who is in me is greater than he who is in the world. And I think there needs to be, pagans need to respect those kinds of Christians who are actually living out their faith and not using it as an excuse to be evil or to be problematic. And I also think pagans need to realize that they have a branding problem because they live in a Christian society. And so they need to make sure that they are focused on living upstanding lives as well. And I think both sides, if we're focused on living upstanding lives, I believe personally, because I'm not trying to be universalist, I'm not. I believe that Christ brings the value to what Marcus Aurelius was looking for. I believe that just like Socrates, who was killed, maybe not have found the value. I think they realize virtue is not for virtue's sake. Virtue is because God designed us. We are made in his image. And I think just like you guys believe paganism is being mischaracterized, I think Christianity has lost what it used to be. And it used to be a strong driving force and consistently is convoluted, just like pagans have gotten convoluted probably over time. And some of them did get weird with orgies and strange stuff. And it does today. Like, if you really look at it's hard to say to people like, yeah, like Marcus was a pagan. And it's like, he was a great man who Christians read to this day as inspiration. We need to be true to what our beliefs are. We need to not be hypocrites. And we need to realize, and I'm very unpopular in the Christian circles for this, you will be safer in a white neighborhood than you would in a Christian mixed race neighborhood. Because being forgiven for your sin doesn't mean that you aren't going to be sinning. And everyone does fall short of the glory of God, Romans 3:23. And some people just don't have IQ and nature or understanding or culture to be able to uphold the civility and the society that whites can uphold. And the moment that any country becomes minority white, you will see a Rhodesia to Zimbabwe pipeline, a South Africanization pipeline. Neglecting race is the downfall of white Christianity. And until we can get that back to realize it's for God and country. What does country mean? Country means the racial ethnic makeup of your nation as defined by its civil order value. We used to say that forever in our nation, for God and country. We now just think it's about God. But let's remember that God, what do we mean by God? It means living for something above depravity, right? Living for something above who you are. And maybe that's just the philosophy for yourself as a pagan. Maybe it's just a philosophy, but still there's your higher power is this doctrine and its dogma. Please, everybody, start living for your higher power. Start living for God, I believe, but I know people don't. And I think that the pagans and the Christians, I think I'd much rather be your neighbor than be Officer Tatum's neighbor. Because you see, he's just because he's Christian, he's a retard. He's like a retarded black guy. Like, I'm just saying, like, he's just a retarded grifting black
Careful,
guy.
I don't want to get sued again. Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I know you have to go, but it's about become the best you, okay? And I don't think I need rules to kind of spell out what that is. Don't lie, cheat, steal, drink too much, sleep with, someone else's husband. Like, we kind of have figured some of these things out, all right? I think we can agree on some of those basic moral concepts. Let's just take the Jew out of it, okay? Because that is not
Judaism ruined Christianity.
That is not part of our native spirituality, our philosophy, our early civilizations, and that's where paganism is really different. It's out of that Abrahamic matrix. It's just not a part of that.
But I love it though. But that's what I was going to say is like, dude, this is what people don't realize. It's like, listen, I don't want anyone else to become pagan, but I will say this. If I don't like even using the word, even if you're not a Christian, you should pick up the books of your ancestors and because beyond paganism, like I'm not telling you have to become, follow Roman religion or Greek religion or Nordic religion, but like look at the philosophy of what built our nations and why did the pagan Scandinavians and the Hellenistic, South and the Roman, influenced Germanic world, why did they get out of the bog? Why did they get out of, as they say, how did the white man get out of the bog kind of thing? It is through philosophy and through faith. But I do believe faith without philosophy is dead, which means it's another way of saying faith without works is dead. And what are those works? It's doing what's right. And I don't think you need God to do what's right. But I think if you're someone like me who does struggle, I do need a rule book. I do struggle to not sin. And I don't hurt people or kill people, but I do think that I
that's
am
good.
Inherently,
that's good to know you don't
inherently wicked. Well, I have friends who kill. I mean, I know a lot of people who have ordered people killed, and like I mean, look in the political world. I know people that have killed people that are, they say is a suicide. Charlie Kirk was killed by a deeper, conspiracy than what they're telling you, by the way. And there's things that we know. And I was one of the early people that explained what was going on, called crazy, and now I've been vindicated. And everyone who threatened to sue me then has backed off. I just remind you, I'm the person who leaked the whole Hamptons meeting, and actually got in trouble. That was an investigation with Candace Owens, Max Blumenthal, and myself. We came together and worked early on to get the information out. Now I gave Candace all my information. She has a bigger platform, but that's how I want Christians and pagans to work together. Of like, I didn't go like, oh, I have information about Charlie Kirk that can prove that there was a conspiracy. Let me do it because it's about my show and my thing. I go, Candace, you have the audience. You were his friend. People will trust you over me. Take my information and go work with it. That's what this movement needs to be about. What are you adding? And also let people call you the hell out. Like if pagans want to call Christians out on our hypocrisy or things, take that seriously and try to like answer them really, and don't just call them, oh, you're going to hell, and no, you're pagan, shut the hell up. It's like they might have a real damn good point of where you're blind.
It's okay to look at comparative mythology and say, hey, there's some similarities here. Like let's dive into this. It's fun. Let's explore it. This is part of the white mind, and I think we just need to take the fear out of it when talking about these things.
I don't want to ever live in fear. But I don't know. I mean, I could be broke tomorrow. I could lose everything. But my trust is in God, and I'm really grateful because for me, what gives me hope is I believe that Christ has called me to maybe restore some sanity to the Christian world on the right, and to kind of to restore what it meant to be Christian, that it was supposed to be a position of strength, not of weakness. And you guys may be pagan, and might want to do the same thing, because I think both of our value sets have been watered down and have been very much muddied into, like you said, yours is like a LARP of like some fat polyamorous person. I'm a pagan, it's like that's kind of what it's like to people. And Christianity is like some weak Zionist bullshit. It's like, let the Browns in.
And I have to say, there's a whole totally. And I have to say that there's a lot in between. It's not. We have to think of whites. We're a diverse people. It's not just they're Christian or they're pagan. I hear from all kinds of white people all across the spectrum. And for me, I'm like, welcome, brothers and sisters. Come on, let's do this.
Now, do make sure that you follow us on our Rumble channel for more Red Ice TV on rumble.com or on X at Red Ice TV. You can, of course, go to redice.tv as well. Tune in to our live streams and shows. Flashback Friday live on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern. No-Go Zone Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern. We also do interviews, videos, clips, and Western Warrior is available Tuesdays, exclusive for our supporters and subscribers at redicemembers.com or on our locals, redicetv.locals.com or subscribestar.com/redice. Get a membership, check out everything that we do, and support the show.
You're watching Red Ice TV Book Post.